You like to think you'd refuse. If someone in a position of power told you to hurt another person, you'd say no. You'd walk out. You'd be the one who stood up. Almost everyone believes this about themselves. And almost everyone is wrong. A Yale psychologist named Stanley Milgram set out to answer a question that had been haunting the world since the end of the Second World War. How did ordinary people commit atrocities simply because someone told them to? Were they monsters? Or were they just following orders, the way almost anyone might? Milgram built an experiment to find out. Volunteers were told they were taking part in a study on memory and learning. They were assigned the role of teacher. Behind a wall, in another room, sat a learner, actually an actor, never in any real danger. The teacher's job was simple. Read a list of word pairs. If the learner got an answer wrong, deliver an electric shock. Each wrong answer raised the voltage. The shocks weren't real. But the teachers didn't know that. As the voltage climbed, the learner began to react. First a grunt, then a complaint, then pounding on the wall, begging for it to stop. Then silence, the kind of silence that could mean anything. Whenever a teacher hesitated, a calm man in a lab coat standing nearby said one of 4 simple phrases: "Please continue. The experiment requires you to continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. You have no other choice. You must go on. No threats, no weapons, no raised voice. Just a man in a coat, repeating a calm sentence." Before running the study, Milgram asked psychiatrists to predict the results. They guessed that only about 1 in 1,000 people would go all the way to the maximum, most extreme shock level. Pure sadists, they assumed. Outliers. They were wrong by an almost unbelievable margin. Roughly 2 out of every 3 participants went all the way to the end. Not because they were cruel. Many were visibly distressed. Sweating, stuttering, laughing nervously, begging the experimenter to check on the learner. And then continuing anyway. Why? What's actually happening in your brain? In a moment like that, psychologists now describe what Milgram captured as the agentic state, a shift where you stop seeing yourself as the author of your own actions and start seeing yourself as an instrument carrying out someone else's will. The responsibility doesn't disappear. It transfers. In your mind, it now belongs to the person giving the order, not to your own hand pulling the lever. This isn't a character flaw unique to Milgram's participants. It's a switch that exists in your brain too, waiting to be flipped by the right conditions. So, picture this. You're new at a job. Your manager asks you to do something that feels slightly wrong. Maybe it's bending a number. Maybe it's staying quiet about something you noticed. You feel the discomfort. You feel your stomach tighten. And then you do it anyway. Because somewhere in your mind, the responsibility has already started to feel like theirs, not yours. You told yourself you were just following instructions. That sentence is doing more work than you realize. It's the agentic state, dressed in office clothes. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Milgram found that proximity changed everything. When the experimenter gave instructions over the phone instead of standing in the room, obedience dropped by more than half. When the teacher had to physically hold the learner's hand onto the shock plate, obedience dropped even further. Distance, physical and emotional, made cruelty easier. Closeness made it harder. This single finding explains more of the modern world than almost any other psychological discovery. A factory owner who never meets the worker overseas. An executive who never sees the layoff notice land on someone's desk. A person online who would never say a cruel word to someone's face, but types it freely behind a screen name. And a username? Distance doesn't just reduce empathy. It dissolves the sense that you're even the one responsible. The counterintuitive twist is this. You'd assume the people most likely to refuse would be the most confident, the most rebellious, the natural leaders. Milgram's data tells a different story. The people most likely to stop weren't the boldest personalities. They were the ones who, at some point in the procedure, paused and asked one simple question out loud: who is responsible if something happens to him? The moment a person said that sentence aloud, the spell of the agentic state often broke. Saying it forced the responsibility back into their own hands, where it had been the entire time. That one sentence is the closest thing psychology has to a real antidote to harmful obedience. Not bravery, not moral superiority, just a single spoken question that refuses to let responsibility quietly slide away to someone else. Look at your own life now. And you'll find this pattern everywhere, in far smaller, far less dramatic versions. The meeting where everyone nods at a plan they privately think is a mistake, because the person leading it sounded certain. The group chat where a joke crosses a line, and you laugh along instead of saying something, because someone else already set the tone. The instruction from someone above you that you follow without asking why, because asking why feels like a bigger risk than just complying. None of this requires a lab coat or a shop machine. It only requires a structure where someone else appears to hold the authority, and a quiet, almost relieving feeling that the outcome is no longer yours to own. You like to think you'd refuse. The honest answer, the one Milgram's data forces you to sit with, is that you don't actually know. Not until the moment arrives, the coat is on, and the calm voice says, "Please continue." What you can know, right now, before that moment ever comes, is the one sentence that breaks the spell. Who is actually responsible? Here, ask it early, ask it out loud. It might be the only thing standing between you and becoming someone you never thought you'd be.